The Chronicles of the Undead, Volume 1, The Gifts of the Dark God. Part 1, Awakenings. Chapter 1, The Awakening of the Undead. Reese. The first thing I remember was a light shining down from the heavens. Its reflections were ever-changing, from the pervading yellow of amber to the deep purple of amethyst, the intense red of ruby, the dreamy blue of sapphires, the bright green of emerald, and the delicate blue of aquamarine. Yet the dazzling spectacle felt immediately as wonderful as distant to me. Between me and that light stood an ocean of darkness, so vast that it could accommodate the whole universe. A void as deep and inscrutable as the one that filled my mind. I do not remember anything about myself. Who was I? Why was I lying on the cold earth? What was that mysterious glow above me? And what was its connection to me? No one was around to ask these questions, yet I realized I was not alone. There was silence with me. It was not the silence of the sky before the storm, the forests before the wind arose, or the calm sea in the evening. Perhaps it was closer to the silence of the battlefield that still holds the echoes of the clashing swords, the blare of trumpets, and the cries of pain of the wounded. It was not the lack of sounds accompanying the wise in meditation, or the artist in the creation of his work, or that sits in the corners of the cathedrals to welcome the prayers of the faithful. Suddenly, it seemed to me more like the silence that birds perceive when they fly high above the earth, breathing the pure and fresh air of freedom. No, that wasn't it either. That night, the silence did not resemble any other silence, because it was not merely the work of men and things. It was a silence from a defined distance, from the depths of the world, a silence made to listen to the whispers of the gods. After contemplating that light in the sky and listening to the silence, I got up. A small clearing stretched out around me, a forest of birch trees, their white trunks swaying gently in the wind. I breathed in deeply, smelling the scent of violets and wild mushrooms in the fresh air. The yellow eyes of an owl broke the stillness, flashed quickly in the darkness, and then disappeared in a soft rustling of leaves. My mind was a jumble of questions that I could not answer. My memory was completely blank, and yet I felt a deep, inexplicable calm at the bottom of my soul. The night was my friend. I could see through the darkness. I could hear the rabbits darting through the underbrush, catch the stealthy strides of the fox, the silent burrowing of the moles, and the timid rustle of the deer. I perceived the presence of every living creature, even the birds sleeping in their nests. With my mind, I traced the journey of sap flowing from the darkness of the tree roots and ascending to the buds swaying gently under the sky. I was not the master of myself alone, but of all that surrounded me. I watched loneliness with indescribable delight. The immense and peaceful solitude of the starry sky, deep, infinite, animated by myriads of luminous dots, each burning with its own light. The unmistakable voice of celestial worlds spoke to me, and I understood the message of peace and harmony. Their beauty still takes my breath away. A world full of mysteries and wonders opened up before me, and I felt that I was part of it. I felt the ties that bound me into the infinite canvas that weaves reality together with its invisible threads, warmth with cold, daylight with the darkness of night, life with death, our humble souls with the greatness of God. The paradox was that I did not remember anything at all about myself. I had no idea about how I looked. Lowering my gaze, I discovered I was a young man, with an athletic, well-proportioned body. The remarkable musculature had to result from intense physical activity, perhaps from field work or military training. I wore a simple, raw wool tunic, black pants, and slightly worn leather boots. A simple, yet dignified attire. I liked my appearance, but no memories awakened in me, even as I observed it. I did not know what to do or where to go. There was not a soul around, just the solitude of the forest. The strange glow of the star next to the Big Dipper seemed like an invitation. I headed in its direction. I walked without thinking, wrapped in the darkness like a blanket. I felt neither cold nor thirst nor hunger. I only felt the joy of walking and discovering an unknown world. I walked past ancient oaks, proud monarchs of the plant world, impassive and haughty. Then a light appeared in the distance. I walked in that direction, full of hope. As I approached, the forest thinned out quickly, revealing a vast clearing where the grass grew low and gray. A little further ahead, the mountain sloped upward, and from there a waterfall descended, a thin white streak that split the night in half and enlivened the emptiness with its roaring sound. Along the bank of the waterway stood a house with a run-down appearance. The light I had seen illuminated one of its windows. I rushed there, driven by curiosity and the desire to encounter another living soul. I found myself on a porch with creaking boards, clusters of pale purple wisteria hanging from the ceiling and gently swaying in the night breeze. I knocked. The door was in such poor condition, and my anxiety was so intense that I almost knocked it down.
I'm coming! What a hurry!"
I heard a voice yell from inside. The door opened. A middle-aged woman appeared before me with a candle in her hand. Her head was veiled, and she wore a modest ash-gray dress and an apron. She kept her eyes down, so I could only see half of her face. Maybe she was concealing herself from my view. But why?
"Hello, traveler. My mistresses have been expecting you."
What? How can anyone expect me? Up until a moment ago, I didn't even know this place existed.
"They have been waiting for you for quite some time. They know everything."
I don't understand.
"That's precisely why you're here, to talk to them and understand. Come along. It's best not to keep them waiting for too long. They can be rather, sensitive."
But who are they?
"Come inside, and you will find out,"
she concluded, and led the way. I followed her into the sparsely furnished, yet well-heated room. A crackling fire cast a warm glow in the fireplace, illuminating the room with rusty iron chandeliers. Around the weathered table in the middle of the room, 3 women, draped in long purple cloaks, sat on worn armchairs. They appeared to be dozing, heads bowed. But as I drew nearer, they snapped their heads up as swiftly as vipers. Their eyes were vacant, clouded by thick layers of mother-of-pearl cataracts, and their skin was withered. The wrinkles on their faces chased one another endlessly, creating a labyrinth of deep furrows with strands of gray hair emerging from their hoods. When I entered, their thin lips broke into a burst of shrill, mocking laughter, revealing a few yellowed teeth.
"You finally arrived? What have you been doing out there for so long?"
exclaimed the first one.
"Don't you know it's impolite to keep ladies waiting?"
chimed in the second one with an even sharper laugh. "I'm sorry, I didn't know," I stammered, feeling confused. The 3 of them burst into laughter once more. "Do you find it that amusing?" I didn't remember anything, but I had no desire to be a laughingstock.
"Apologies, young man. We didn't mean to upset you, but you see, we don't get many chances to enjoy ourselves, do we, sisters?"
All right. No harm done. But would you mind telling me who you are and why you were waiting for me?"
Who are we? Haven't you figured it out by now? Oh, yes, you're quite clueless. We will have to explain everything. What a bother. Do you want to handle it, sister?
asked the woman seated at the head of the table.
In truth, it's not a simple question to address. Throughout the ages, people have given us many different names. I don't know how they recognize us today, but it doesn't matter. We don't need names. Our voices are all we need.
Sorry, but I still don't understand, I said, feeling uneasy.
In ancient times, we were known as Keras. We are the daughters of night and time. We are the three sisters who govern the fate of mortals. We measure their lives, oversee their progress, and decide their end.
The three of you? You old women?
Yes, just the three of us, and indeed, young man, we are not old. We are timeless, and we do not age. If we appear before you like this, it is only because we have chosen to communicate with you more effectively. Your frail mind would not withstand the sights of our true form.
The one seated at one end of the table explained.
Seeing your astonished and incredulous expression right now is quite amusing,
added the one in front of me. Once again, all three of them burst into laughter. Please, can you stop laughing at me, wise ladies? How is it that powerful beings like you, who control people's destinies and live forever, have nothing better to do than make fun of me?
How impudent! Yes, we should send him away without telling him anything, and let him figure it out on his own,
the second one suggested.
No, why should we do that? The young man is showing courage by speaking to us in this way, and I admire brave people,
the third one concluded, breaking her silence. It was only at that moment that she raised her face from beneath the purple hood, and I realized she could only see from one eye. However, it was not an ordinary gaze fixed on me. In that single eye, silver reflections twirled unlike any I had ever seen. Reflections from another world. One that seemed eternal, cold, and impenetrable. I was terrified, and I took a step backward. The old woman, upon seeing my reaction, immediately lowered her gaze.
Young man, we're not here to discuss us, but rather you. Can you recall your name, at least?
I do not know how, but from the void that extended within me, a woman's voice suddenly echoed. A single syllable was all it took to set the deepest chords of my soul resonating. It was the voice of someone I loved deeply, even if I could not remember who she was. However, one thing was certain. She was addressing me by my name. Reese! My name is Reese, I declared with a sense of pride. I expected the three women to erupt in laughter at the sound of such an unusual name. Instead, a profound silence, full of respect, fell over them.
A fascinating coincidence, wouldn't you agree, sisters?
The Kera with the strange eyes said. The other two nodded with expressions now earnest. What kind of coincidence? What do you mean?
It's nothing of importance. Perhaps someday you'll come to understand. That depends on how far you are able to go.
Go where? I have no idea where to go. Besides my name, I know nothing. Not even about myself.
Then you don't even realize who you are?
Haven't you noticed anything?
Realize what? What should I have realized?
Haven't you noticed that your heart doesn't beat?
The elderly woman closest to me said with a grin. I touched my chest, and my fingers pressed into the fabric of my tunic as if there was emptiness beneath it. Terrified, I began to undress, revealing a small vortex spinning on the left side of my chest. Silver reflections danced within the darkness, swirling in an endless spiral. It was part of me, and I had never been aware of it, but how could that horrifying thing be lodged within my flesh?
Calm down, young man. Your dark mark won't hurt you. It's part of who you are.
Dark mark?
Yes, the vortex you carry in your chest is the symbol of your curse and your condition.
Condition? What is this swirling vortex within my body?
It's the mark that distinguishes those who have been cursed.
Cursed? Have I been cursed? And by whom?
We don't know. As keen as we may be, our gaze does not encompass everything that happens in this world. Something evades its notice, and you are one of those rare occurrences. That's why you are of interest to us, and why we have summoned you.
But then, how can I rid myself of this horror? How do you break a curse? You, who seem to know so much, tell me, please!
We do possess a great deal of knowledge, but not this particular one. You see, each curse is unique.
All right, but how can I escape it?
As I said, although every curse has different effects, they can all be undone in 2 ways.
Which are?
Either by eliminating the one who cast it, or persuading the caster to lift it.
But if I cannot remember anything about myself and my past, how will I ever know who cursed me? It seems like an impossible task.
That's precisely why your curse is so powerful. It's powerful enough that whoever cast it managed to do it without our knowledge.
And what happened to my previous life? My memories? Is there no way I can recover my past?
Perhaps over time you will start remembering something. No curse, no matter how powerful, is entirely irreversible. Sooner or later your past may resurface, like a drowned person's body. Perhaps all at once, or maybe bit by bit over several months or years. It might be so enigmatic that you will not fully understand it and might mistake it for a dream or nightmare. Who can say? The paths of memory are even more intricate than those traversing the world of spirits. Perhaps one day you will remember the cause of your curse and find its caster. However, it is far more likely that you will wander this earth in search of answers in vain, never finding them.
The old woman by the fire said in a quiet tone. Upon hearing this latest revelation, I knelt, overwhelmed by anguish.
Don't fret, young man. You can live a good life even under your curse,
she reassured me. Really? But how can I endure this emptiness that pulses within my chest?
There is a remedy for that. A human effigy will suffice. What you should concern yourself with is something else.
Why, is there more? Isn't all this punishment enough?
Listen carefully to my words. You have returned from the dead. Someone has summoned you back to life through a curse of enormous power. The world of spirits is crisscrossed with various channels known as spiritual paths. Wizards and witches can traverse these paths to access the powers of gods, elementary spirits, demons, and numerous other mystical entities. Recently, one of these paths, which we believed to have been sealed from the time of the First Age, has mysteriously reopened. It unleashed a surge of cosmic energy that sent ripples throughout the entire kingdom of spirits. Shortly thereafter, you reappeared. We believe there might be some connection between this event and your return to life. Furthermore, whoever cursed you must possess extraordinary magical abilities to have cast such a formidable spell upon you. This leads us to believe that in your past life you may have committed great transgressions or incurred the ire of a wizard or sorcerer of the highest level.
I understand, but what should I do now? How can I find the person who cast this curse on me? How can I persuade this wizard to lift it?
You will have to find that on your own. We summoned you here to provide initial guidance for your new life and explain your current predicament. This is not something we do often, but your case is truly exceptional for us as well.
I'm flattered. So, can you enlighten me about what I am and how a cursed individual lives?
First and foremost, you must accept your condition and your body. It will not be easy. It depends on you. We can only offer you a piece of advice. Give priority to your survival above all else, and the rest will follow naturally.
Is that the extent of your wisdom here? Survive and hope for the best?
We've provided you with guidance, but we never claimed it would be effortless.
One of them gestured to the gray-dressed servant who had been standing like a sentinel in the corner. She disappeared briefly and returned with a tray and a cup, which she handed to me. I'm not thirsty, I said.
Drink and listen to us, young man,
said one of the keras. I accepted the cup and drank from it. I could not tell what the liquid was, but it was as sweet as honey, and it appeared to contain some substance with a calming effect. My soul immediately settled, and I regained control of myself. What was that?
Poison,
the old woman at the head of the table responded calmly. Poison? Are you trying to kill me? But why?
Don't worry, Reese. You won't die. Or rather, you will die, but you will continue to exist in your true physical form.
My true form? For the gods, what in the world are you talking about? I asked, feeling nervous and afraid. However, my initial anger quickly faded, replaced by a profound numbness. My head spun, and I experienced a strange ringing in my ears. I sat on the floor with my head in my hands, eyes closed. That strange sensation disappeared as fast as it came. I stood up again, now in full control of myself, and I felt much better than before. A tremendous energy surged within me. I felt safe, strong, brave, and even bold. The 3 elderly women appeared as nothing more than 3 pathetic fools. But why had I listened to their words with such fear? How could I be an undead when I felt so good?
You died, and you didn't even realize it. Now that you have returned to your senses, you can witness your true self with your own eyes.
One of the 3 Keras explained, chuckling. You're quite mistaken, old woman. I'm not dead. I'm perfectly fine. I have no desire to examine anything further. I'm tired of your enigmas.
Reese, death is not solely defined by the cessation of breathing. There exist various degrees of death, and many entities tread the line between life and death, like acrobats balancing on a tightrope. Your understanding is limited, but you will soon comprehend. In the meantime, why not gaze upon your real form? Remove the cloth covering the mirror in that corner and look at yourself. I warn you, it will not be a pleasant sight.
Are you still making fun of me?
You can confirm it for yourself if you doubt our words. Just look in the mirror and everything will become clear to you. Are you afraid of your own reflection?
One of the Keras concluded with a shrill laugh. Very well, I will do it. I've grown tired of listening to your nonsense. I walked toward the corner of the room that they had pointed out, maintaining a steady pace. Underneath the draped cloth, I saw a tall, slender silhouette. However, when I stood before it, fear froze me. It was a different kind of fear, one stemming not from external danger, but from an enemy dwelling within me, inside my very flesh.
Come now, young one. We haven't all night to wait for your hesitations.
One of the 3 elderly women urged me with a laugh.
You'll never uncover the truth unless you're willing to face the unexpected,
Added the one with the terrifying eye.
Remember these words well, because what you are about to discover regarding your past life, I fear, won't be pleasant for you. What you are about to face is dreadful, and it will demand great courage. But you have no choice. You can evade everything. Women, prison, obligations, duties. You can break oaths and shatter people's trust. But there is one thing you will never be able to do. Escape from yourself. Come on, look in the mirror and see what you have become.
The old woman at the head of the table teased me with a mocking laugh. The desire to silence her filled me with determination. With a swift, abrupt motion, I yanked the fabric away, unleashing a cloud of dust that danced gracefully before my disbelieving eyes before disappearing, leaving me face to face with my grotesque reflection. I saw a nightmarish and unnatural figure. The basic features of a man remained, but the skin had become a dark and parched surface resembling leather, torn in several places, revealing glimpses of living flesh beneath, etched with irregular patterns of red and violet lines. Bundles of gray tendons twitched nervously like marionette strings, enveloping the luminous white bones beneath. Not a single strand of hair grew on the skull. Instead, a cavity exposed a whitish substance within. veiled by thin, dark blue threads. My cheeks had withered into holes, my lips were worn, and my teeth laid bare. What I saw was not a face, but a skull with two hollow eyes, staring at me in sheer horror. It was all too much for me to withstand. The sight sent the room into a swirling frenzy, its contours losing definition. The clothes of the three old women merged into a single crimson blur that danced before my eyes, accompanied by their unbearable laughter. The strength within me, or what little remained, drained away. My legs buckled, and I tumbled into an abyss devoid of anything to grasp, succumbing to unconsciousness. The sky itself had dwindled to a grey sarcophagus, perched upon the jagged peaks of slate-black mountains, their rocky masses filled with sharp edges. Narrow valleys formed a labyrinth of impervious gorges and steep sides, turning around a vast plain, empty as an eye open on the desolation. The light was but a mere suggestion, yet I discerned the ruins of walls that only giants could have erected, bastions as vast as hills, amidst the ruins of ancient buildings as big as palaces. Only the skeletons of crumbling walls remained, their windows and entrances wide open and empty, like the hollow orbits of a skull frozen in time. Only bare muddy beds and scorched thorns were visible where gardens had previously thrived. A wordless anguish permeated the air, replacing the merchants' calls, servants' chatter, and children's laughter. Whirlwinds swept across the ground, cluttered with rubble and bones, hissing through the ruins and carrying clouds of black dust and the smell of charred remains and despair. 2 rows of stumps that once were trees and that had once reached the sky ran parallel to what appeared to be a lake made of pure darkness. Its surface shimmered with the silver reflections of an endless spiral dancing in perfect symmetry. I had no idea what that place was, but I was certain it was real, because it was full of the same silence that had taken residence within me. I gradually returned to my senses, and the vision disappeared like a bizarre dream. The soft glow of a candle on the ground next to me welcomed me back into the world. I was lying on a bed with a straw-stuffed pillow under my head, wrapped in a musty blanket. The air was heavy, and the feeble candlelight revealed a low-beamed ceiling full of hooks and hanging ropes. On either side of me, various crates and chests, wrapped in a layer of dust, were jumbled together. I was in an attic. Shrill laughter reached me from downstairs. It was unmistakable and a stark reminder of recent events. Instinctively, I looked at my hands. They were back to normal. I touched my face, my hair, and my arms. I was human again. It had to have been a dream, a nightmare, perhaps an illusion created by those witches. I could still hear their giggles in the distance. Yes, it had to be the effect of that liquid I had consumed. Who knew how I had managed to imagine such a thing? A half-smile crept across my face at the thought. I sighed in relief. The laughter and commotion from downstairs seemed to subside. However, when I touched my chest, right by my heart, my fingers encountered the emptiness under the fabric I had found earlier. I got up and hit my head against the low ceiling. The laughter of the 3 purple-cloaked witches erupted anew from below. I quickly took off my robe and saw the dark mark pulsing within my flesh once more. My body seemed to be back to normal, but that cursed mark remained. A trapdoor in the floor creaked open, and the grey-dressed woman emerged.
My ladies would like to speak with you. Please come downstairs.
Sure, I'm coming, I replied. I put my shirt back on, descended the ladder, and followed the woman into the living room, where the 3 old women awaited me.
Of course, if you begin like this, you won't make it very far,
The Kera near the fire said immediately, grinning. I apologize for what happened earlier. I must have lost control.
It doesn't matter. Now that you're calm, you'll be more willing to listen to us.
said the old woman sitting at the other end of the table. Yes, regarding my appearance and my body, I'm now human again, except for that strange vortex around my heart. Was it your doing? Your magic?
Indeed, it was a human effigy that restored your current appearance.
Human effigy? What's that all about?
It's simple. At least for a wizard or sorcerer. All they need is some Tandiro tree branches bound together to take the shape of a human body and bathe them in the blood of a human being. With the right spell, they can craft a human effigy. Breaking that artifact will restore your human appearance. But be cautious. This effect is only temporary. Your true, cursed state remains unchanged until you find someone who can dispel your curse.
And how long does this state last?
Until you're killed. Then you will revert to your original form.
Does that mean that if they kill me, I won't die? But that's impossible!
Unless you've been cursed and condemned to wander this earth, rejected by both the world of the living and the world of the dead.
But if I can't die, then what is the purpose of my life?
Young man, you think like a human, and thus you still ask yourself the wrong questions.
The kidda from the opposite end of the table answered, drawing a puff of blue smoke from a small pipe. What questions should I ask, then? How should I think? I asked anxiously.
You assume that everything must make sense, that everything revolves around you. Innate pride distinguishes you humans, to believe that you are at the center of the world and that your existence is its greatest culmination. But you are too limited to grasp the true essence of reality. Your minds are constrained by fears and beliefs. The time you are allotted to live trapped in your wretched bodies is too short. There is no hope for you. You were born at the whim of a god, as instruments to satisfy its needs and pleasures. You are nothing more than playthings for the old hide-em-all. The one you still worship as the righteous and benevolent creature who bestowed upon you a world to rule. What nonsense! Men believe in everything.
The other two women added, laughing. So, what am I supposed to do, now that I'm undead?
Try not to become an empty vessel, a void.
What is a void?
You have just risen from the dead, and you still retain your mental faculties. But this, too, is a temporary state. Little by little, you will lose your reason. Nothing will hold meaning or matter to you. At that point, you can no longer be a human being. You will become a void, an empty being, a savage, driven solely by the instinct to kill. The one that in ancient times you humans would call a demon.
And when will it happen to me? When will I become a demon? Is there no way to avoid it? I asked, standing up resolutely.
Of course there is, but I'm not sure if it will be to your liking. You seem such a good guy. If I were a few millennia younger, I would have had a crush on you.
The three of them burst into laughter, with one nearly falling off her chair from the glee. "Stop making fun of me! Don't you have a bit of heart or respect? You've just told me I'm a monster, and you dare laugh in my face?"
Apologies, young one. It's nothing personal, but humans are amusing to us. You think so highly of yourselves when, in truth, you're so insignificant and petty. The way you ruined your lives with your own conflicts, the hatred and wars over matters as trivial as glory, honor, wealth, and fame. Oh, you know so little about the world and what truly matters.
Fine. We mean nothing to you. I get it. But can we get back to me for a moment? How can I avoid becoming a void?
Your soul is like a flame that is extinguishing. To keep it alive and retain sanity, you must feed on other souls, taking their life force. So it's simple. You have to kill other people and absorb their souls. Only then can you keep your own soul alive.
Do I have to kill? Is there no other way?
No. You can decide who and how to kill. If you become a void, your instincts will decide for you, and you'll kill indiscriminately. But if you wish to avoid that fate, you can choose whose life to take, as long as you care about the human world. As long as you find someone deemed worthy of not being killed.
The Keras laughed again, and I slumped back into a chair. I was condemned to be a murderer without even knowing the reason for my curse. No, I can't accept any of this. I'll set myself on fire, and it'll be over. Isn't that how the undead are eliminated? I suggested.
For the ordinary ones, yes, but you have been cursed. Even if they burned you or cut your head off, your body would be recreated. But you would lose all the memories from your second life and have to start anew.
This is an absurd nightmare! I exclaimed in despair.
Don't be so disheartened, my boy. If you can't get rid of this curse, there's still a chance for redemption, albeit remote. The mark residing within your flesh, the symbol of your curse, is an omen of darkness that feeds on you. However, like any omen, it doesn't necessarily have to come to pass. It may have devoured your past, your future, and your light, but even as an undead, there is still a place to go. Maybe you will see it in a dream. Maybe one day you will find it. It is a dark and forgotten land, where tormented souls find solace. A long time ago, Jarnax, now known as the Dark God, the creator of black fire, built the most impressive cities. Perhaps you have heard of it? No? How could you? The city is said to be Harament, a place so magnificent that it sparked envy among other gods, including Hydamal, the protector of the primeval flame. The two powers clashed, and the dark god's flame flickered, but never extinguished. It still crackles there, awaiting to burn the curses of its ancient lord's servants. Centuries have passed, like ears of wheat swaying in a field. No one remembers the way to Hammerend, but one day you'll find yourself before its decaying gates without knowing why, like a moth drawn to a flame. Your wings will burn painfully again and again. This is your destiny, the destiny of the accursed one.
Upon hearing those words, I remained motionless, with no more strength. My thoughts ran to the image of my dream. The place existed, and it held hope for me. Hammerint, the name of my salvation. Then I glanced through the grimy windowpane. The stars were still there, and that peculiar light near the Big Dipper still seemed to shine, just for me. Witnessing such a spectacle again was reason enough to keep on living, even in the body of an undead. I rose with determination.
Good. I believe you're ready to embrace your destiny. But whatever path you choose, whether toward Hammerint or the pursuit of your past to break the curse, you must hurry. You may not have much time left.
The Kara sitting at the head of the table said. Why? What else is happening?
It seems that the fourth age we live now is ending. Before I send you back out there, allow me to provide you with a brief overview of the history of the emerged lands that you humans inhabit. When the world was still young, Hydamal, the god of sun and light, created human beings to infuse them with life using the primeval flame, an arcane source of mystical energy with unimaginable powers. However, driven by envy, Jarnax, Hydamal's brother, waged war on him in an attempt to seize control of that power. Hydamal defeated him in what is remembered as the First Divine War. Immediately after that battle, however, the primeval flame began to flicker and fade. Human souls risked extinguishing along with the flame. In a selfless act, Hydamal sacrificed himself, plunging into the flame to rekindle its powers. Since then, his descendants, the Hydamirians, aided by the protectors of the flame, have safeguarded the primeval flame. 2 more eras have passed since those events, and once again the primeval flame is on the brink of extinguishment.
This is terrible!
No, my young one, this is just the beginning. Prince Vankir, the last heir to the imperial throne, betrayed his lineage and handed the flame, or what little remains of it, to the sorcerer Radamant and the 3 Chekrops, the demonic daughters of Jarnax. They have brought the plague of the undead upon humanity and declared war on humans once more. A painful fate hangs over a frightened world. So, hurry, young man, fulfill your destiny before the world we know is over.
The old woman, who sat a few steps away from me, concluded in a dark tone. After her words, the silence was broken only by the crackling of the fire in the fireplace.
My sister loves to be dramatic,
the third Kera added, staring at me with one eye.
Many fear that with the extinction of the primeval flame, humans and the world as we know it will end. But no one can be sure. The end of a world is not the end of reality. The end of one world coincides with the beginning of another. Perhaps the fifth age will be the age of the undead, or perhaps an ancient prophecy will come true. Only a faint hope shines like the light of a candle above an ocean of darkness. Maybe it doesn't even make sense to tell you about it, or maybe it does. What do you think, sisters?
I've already heard many weird things today, I pointed out. The 3 Keras grinned, and then the one closest to the fire said,
At first, you said your name is Reese. In the language of the ancient gods, the name means chosen. This is the coincidence that caught our attention and reminded us of the prophecy.
What kind of coincidence? What prophecy are you talking about?
There is a prophecy whose origins are lost in the mists of time. Nobody knows who created it, but its words spread, brought to us by the wind, the gurgling of the springs, and the crackling of bonfires. The prophecy says that one day the fate of the world will be in the hands of one person, the chosen one. The chosen one will not be an emperor, a warrior, a saint, or a sage. He will not even be human. He will belong to the most horrid race that has inhabited this earth.
The first Kera recited, staring at me with her blank eyes.
It will be an outcast, an abomination that men will exile from their cities, a heretical existence rejected by both life and death. The chosen one will be an undead, but not just a mere undead. He will hide in his heart of darkness an impossible love for a being of pure light. One day the undead capable of loving will decide whether to revive the primeval flame from which the souls of human beings are born, or extinguish it once and for all and find out what is hiding behind the darkness that is descending on the world.
The second Kera added solemnly.
Whether an eternal night populated by the undead, or the dawn of a new age of peace for humanity.
And do you think I'm this chosen one?
We have no idea. Many omens and many prophecies have proven deceptive over the centuries. The future has never been as uncertain and unclear as it is now. Maybe you are the chosen one. Maybe you are just a twist of fate that will only last a few days. I can only give you a piece of advice, Reese. Take the truth and the lie as your traveling companions, and follow the path that your star shows you.
The silence fell again, interrupted only by the crackling of the fireplace. The Kera who had spoken seemed to doze off.
Here, young one,
said the Kera at the head of the table, and she handed me some pieces of wood from under her purple cloak. They were tied with a string.
Here is your human effigy. Keep it with you. It will prove useful. Upstairs, in a trunk, you'll find armor and weapons. They may not be of great value, but at least you won't be entirely defenseless,"
she informed me. "Thank you," I said, struggling to get up. I sensed that my time in this place had come to an end. I went back upstairs, and as the Kara had said, in a trunk near the bed, I found a rather worn leather armor, a sword, and a shield. I put on the armor, and I took the weapons. The woman in the grey apron handed me a travel bag containing my only possession, the human effigy that the 3 Karas had given me. As I returned to the hallway, I found the 3 old women with their heads bowed, just as I had found them when I had first met them. They seemed immersed in peaceful slumber, despite everything they had shared with me. Their servant motioned for me not to disturb them, and she was right. They appeared to rest too well. I left the house, and the night welcomed me with its cool breeze gently caressing my face. The purple clusters of wisteria swayed gracefully as if in a dance. In the embrace of the darkness, I looked at the stars that awaited me, steady and unwavering in their eternal splendor. They shone for me, too, all in unison, whispering that I was not alone. I observed the gleam near the Big Dipper. Its reflections continued to shift from the dominant yellow of amber to the deep purple of amethyst, from the vibrant red of ruby to the dreamy blue of sapphires, from the bright green of emerald to the delicate azure of aquamarine. I had no idea of what my fate would hold. Would I have found the mysterious city of Hammerint? Would I succeed in breaking the curse that hung on me? Would I transform into an empty being within days? Or could I perhaps discover that I was the chosen undead foretold in legends? I knew nothing about myself and the world that awaited me beyond the night, but I had a star to lead my way.